Alright, so I'm going to try, to the best of my abilities, to explain the plot of My Hero Academia without having watched it. Alright. And so, my sources for this could contain spoilers, so I'm gonna name my sources for this. Satire, shipping reels, occasionally glancing or looking at the TV when my little sister was watching it. A Dr. Doofenshmirtz edit. And, I think I saw one reel about it, which does contain spoilers. So this could. So no, if you're a big fan of it, don't watch this. So basically it starts off, right, and there's this guy with green hair, right? And his name is Deku, right? And so this is kind of like The Boys. I haven't watched that show either, so but it's kind of like The Boys in that like everyone has a superpower, right? And so basically Deku is the only person in the world who doesn't have a, because they call them quirks, right? And so some of them have like really useful ones, like fire, all right, and other ones have less useful ones, like I'm not sure actually, like good hair. I don't know. And so Deku is chronically depressed because like he's the only normal person. He's like powerless, right? And so he somehow gets because like this. So there's this guy who's like he's All Might, right? And so he's basically like Homelander in the fact that he's supposed to, he's like a good guy, but like he presents himself to be a good guy, but he's not. He's secretly really evil. All right. And so oh yeah, and if I just call characters random names, that is because I don't know their names, right? So because of All Might, like kind of like liking him and wanting him for his sinister evil plot, he gets him into the school, right? Like, and it's like this prestigious, like it's like the most like prestigious academy in the world, right? And so he goes to like this special class, right? And so there's this there's these characters, right? And so they're the first guy is Todoroki, and his whole thing is that he's got his mom's dead, and he's got like blue hair on one. He's basically what's his name from Avatar? The King Zuko, Prince Iroh's nephew. He's like Iroh's nephew from Avatar, and he's got like the burn scar, the emo attitude, and he's like throughout the series he's hella like simping for Deku, right? And there's this other guy, Bakugo, right? He's the guy who goes like, he's got the spiky hair, and I believe he's the one who goes like, oi, 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 that one. And so his power is that he's got electricity, and he's angry. And then there's Minette, who's this girl with a bowl cut who she does something. I don't really know what it is. And then there's the pink one, who's like a slime person, all right? Like she jiggles, and she's all jello-y, and she can like kind of like do the Luigi dance from Super Smash Brothers, kinda ish. And so basically they're all this school, right? And they're being taught by these people, and so as that's going on, they're the villains, right? And so, first. So basically, they all go into this tournament, right? As they're fighting each other, and then somehow by kind of like pure luck and bumbling through it, Deku wins, right? And so then, like Bakugo is really mad, but he also has like a thing for Deku, right? And so he's kind of like going over here, and he's like, ugh, whatever, you win. Don't let it go to your head, you quirkless, I believe he calls him something, like, I don't know. And so Deku this entire time, he's just struggling with crippling depression, alright? And so then, corpse husband and a very large man attack, right? And so, like, they're beating everyone up, right? And, like, everyone's getting, oh yeah, and also there's this girl, Toga, who's, like, kinda like Monica from DDLC, kind of. Except she's like, she's like a sadist, right? And so she's like, he'd be really cute if you bled more. And so she's like she hates Bakugo because he's like kind of like into Deku, but she's also into Deku, and so is the Minette and the pink one. All right, like everyone, like a big facet of the show is that everyone is into Deku. Like they all, every single one, every single character has romantic aspirations towards Deku, right? And so basically then so they attack and everyone gets completely annihilated, right? And then All Might comes in and he's like, he takes his last stand, right? He like the Homelander last stand. Also, oh, I can't say that. Whatever. Why can't I? I don't know. Actually, I don't know. You want your wife back? I'll have my shapeshifter be your wife, please. Oh my god! Of all the times I could have killed you. And so basically, he gets completely destroyed, right? But then because of that, the transitive power of his power, it imbues Deku with his power, so that Deku becomes like Deku is the new All Might, right? And so he's like kind of raising his hand, and everyone's like, oh my god, it's a new age. We're free. And then Corpse Husband comes in and completely just destroys him, all right? And so basically then, then Deku's kind of like, he's poisoned, right? And so they all kind of take him to the med bay where they're all like crying for him. They're like, oh no, it's Deku, we can't go on. It's so hard. How are we going to have any light or joy in our lives without Deku? Because they're all kind of like, throughout the entire series, there's like kind of these sequences where they're all becoming like more and more emotionally dependent on Deku, right? And so then like Corpse Husband and All Might has like this evil twin, right? And so like that guy's that guy's got like a different like the same power, but it's a different power, and he's got like flames on him, and he's like, kind of like Yujiro Hanma. That's what we're gonna call him. And so basically Yujiro Hanma kind of like he's now controlling these guys, like, or he's controlling like Corpse Husband and then the fat guy and like everyone else, right? And so like as they're doing that, like Deku's kind of like Deku's dying in the hospital, right? And so then there's this kind of like there's this B plot, right, where as Todoroki and Minette go to like this weird tournament thing, right, to get like the antidote for the drugs. Then Bakugo and the pink one, they then go to fight they then fight Phineas and Ferb's Dr. Doofenshmirtz, right? And so his whole thing is that basically he wants to like, he's created the Meta Liberation Army, which is basically like this thing where they believe that like using their powers in everyday life is like a right, kind of like the Deep from The Boys, all right? Like and so he's kind of like, actually no, I think it was Bakugo went to the tournament and Todoroki went to fight Dr. Doofenshmirtz. And so basically Dr. Doofenshmirtz's power is that he's Luffy, basically, kind of like the gum expand. And then so like basically as him and Todoroki are fighting, he just completely destroys him and like smashes him at the tower, right, out of the Dr. Doofenshmirtz Evil Incorporated tower. And so then he basically rides a metal thing to then go and fight Todoroki some more, but then he gets completely destroyed, right? And so like, and he ends up bowing to the to Yujiro, right? Because he's like, oh my god, I just got destroyed. These guys, they're way too powerful for me, right? And so then, in the B plot, then Bakugo and Minette are basically they're going and they're fighting all these people, right? And so like it's this whole like this kind of like a martial arts Chinese tournament, right? And so as they're fighting, they're like, so the world is basically like this. The Soviet Union is still standing, right, in the universe of My Hero Academia, and so basically like China is kind of like Yujiro comes from China because he's like, and that's why he's the evil All Might, is because he's from China, whereas his twin is from America. And so that's like why they hate each other, is because it's like kind of this extension of the Cold War, right? As they're in China, and they're like, they, along with like this guy who has like the hard skin and a boxer guy are like they're kind of like they're fighting and they're the only Americans in the tournament, right? And so they completely just crush the opposition, and then so basically what ends up happening is that they get put into like this kind of American league, whereas the Chinese superheroes are going into their own Chinese league to kind of like prove, like they disband the tournament. They're like to prove who's better. All right. And so, because the whole point of the tournament is that, like, the winner gets granted, like, one wish, right? And so, they're all given, like, these zodiac symbols, and it's a whole process, right? And so, they're like, but then, this Chinese guy who's, like the rat guy, right? He comes in, and he's like, He kind of like he's like this old guy, right? And so he leads the Chinese team, and he's like, "We're gonna beat the Americans, and we're gonna prove that they're like these slovenly, like idiots, right?" And so then that leads to this whole sequence where like because like the Yujiro is like on their side, right? Kind of. Like, because he's been in America so long that, like, his visa has expired, basically. Well, no, his citizenship has expired. They believe that he's a traitor because he's working with Americans, right? And so that ends up, like, him and, like, the rat guy end up, like, fighting each other, and it's this whole big thing, right? And so, like, it ends, like, and so the rat guy's power is basically he can zombify people, right? And so he creates his old skeleton army. And so basically they do this thing in kind of the A plot as they're doing it, where Dr. Doofenshmirtz he builds this machine, right? And so it brings back all these evil villains, right? And so so basically everyone's like in the A plot is kind of like fighting them as the tournament is going on, right? And then so at a certain point that kind of like the rat guy is kind of able to control them, and so he takes control of Joseph Stalin, right? And so Joseph Stalin's like he's driving his tank. He's this like ultimate evil like dictator reborn, right? And so he comes in, and then they have this whole fight where like basically they collapse the Soviet Union, right? Because everyone was like so hyped that like Joseph Stalin, like because he's the guy. He's like the guy who not created, but like in their minds, like thanks to like their propaganda, created the Soviet Union. Like they erased Lenin from like the picture, which also then like in the middle of the fight, Lenin gets like brought back and kind of. But either way, the Soviet Union completely loses trust and it dissolves. And so they then like through this process they beat the Chinese people, and so they're like they kind of like demand the cure to Deku's poison, right? And then so they bring it back to Deku, and so then like they kind of all revive him, and then so because this entire time Toga actually has been like having her redemption arc where she so basically Corpse Husband gets mad at her and he beats her up, right? And so they take her to like a mental hospital where like they rehabilitate her and turn her into like a good guy, right? So now everyone's in kind of the hospital room, and we have this tender scene as they're all like watching Deku wake up, and like the poison fades from his eyes, and he's waking up, and he's like, "Oh my god, thank you guys so much!" And so they're all kind of like jostling, like especially Bakugo and Todoroki, right? They're just like pushing and shoving each other, because they're both trying to take credit, like they're like, I did the most. No, I did the most. And so, so they end up like shoving each other and doing all this stuff to like impress Deku. And then Deku goes like, no, stop. And so he gets really mad at everyone because they're letting their feelings for him kind of like take over their rational minds, right? And so, basically he runs off on his own, and everyone's kind of like they're all feeling guilty because like we made Deku run off because we couldn't get along, right? And so he ends up running, and like he runs into Corpse Husband, right? And so this time he's getting a little bit mad, right? And so he completely destroys him this time, like gone, completely ruined everything. It's over. He kills him. And so then Yujiro comes out and he's like, "Oh, you did exactly what I wanted you to, because you may have beat him, but you lost a piece of yourself along the way. And then he's trying to basically get him to join like the kind of the dark side, like the people with the corpse. And so basically they start having a battle, all right? Because Deku's like he's a hero, right? He's never like he would never and I know I'm aware I'm skipping things, but he's like he's and so at a certain point he just gets completely like kind of destroyed by like Yujiro, right? Because he's unfamiliar to his new powers, right? And he's like, he thinks that he's like the super like great guy, but he has no experience. And so then Todoroki and Bakugo come and save him, right? But the thing is, they can like the Yujiro can basically he can only be destroyed by like 2 people, right? And so they have to then work together to defeat him. And so then Deku kind of goes and he's like, "Oh my god, guys, I'm so thankful that you saved me." And so basically they all kind of like the ending is that they kind of like all start dating each other. It's weird. Like it's and so like yeah, and so kind of that's and then in that's the summary of like the first couple seasons. Then there's a new season upcoming where they're like they're teasing it. And I guess I'll cover that when it comes.